Hi. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Very excited to listen about your project and thoughts.
Well,
You want me to start?
Justyna, you do first.
Okay, so my name is Justyna and I come from Poland. Now I'm based in Krakow, but a couple months ago I moved from New York. So I'm like close to New York City. I would say I'm a performance artist, but I specialize in new media. Like emerging technology. Like I really like to work with augmented reality especially, but also I have some experience with working in virtual space. I graduate intermediate department at the Academy of Fine Art here in Krakow. I had opportunity to teach last year in performance art classes. Yeah, and I think that in most of my project, I'm really involved in social problems. I'm like in my work, I'm trying to like point at the problems, especially in the context of the climatic crisis and some other ecological issues. I'm also very involved in like ecofeminist movement. What else? Yeah, and I'm like there's for me. I think there's not much difference between my art practice and everyday life. I think that whatever I'm doing in arts, what I state is like really true and honest with my everyday living. So I'm like really into the eco movements. I'm trying to be as sustainable as I can. I don't eat meat. I'm trying to work in some like organizations and yeah. Yeah, I think it's like for a small introduction, it can be enough.
Ieva Mediodia. I can say full name. Ieva Martinaitytė Mediodia. Mediodia is my husband's name, but I keep it. I like the meaning of it. It's middle of the day, afternoon. So I keep it as my artist name, Ieva Mediodia. And I moved to New York in 1996 from Lithuania. And well, I had a long experience with this place. I don't know where to start. I'm not going to talk about it too much right now, but it was very big thing for me to move from small country to New York. But my ambition was greater than fear. And I was 27, around 27 years old. And I always pursued painting. And we had very good professor who came from New York and taught us art and introduced us to with American art scene. And we were still just very raw students. Our Soviet Union just collapsed and we were eager to explore the world. You know, we lived under the iron kind of cage, in the iron cage. We could not really move around much in the world. And now we see world was so different, gradually became so global. Yeah, I got to see a lot of things since then. And now we're here in pandemic. We still can be global on Zoom, I guess. Yeah, so painting, and I always questioned how my painting could find different voices. Maybe I could say that because it's like a language for me, visual language. And I was never satisfied for long. If I, for instance, I used oil paints a lot, and when I came to New York, it all changed. because I just didn't really feel comfortable to continue something only traditional. I still feel like my practice is pretty traditional. I need studio, I need to spend a lot of time by myself, and I love my solitude, but at the same time, I need to balance it with to just come out of my being just by myself and with my ideas and meet other creative people. And I guess this time I have a chance to, through collaboration with Justyna, to see how else this painting could live. And the painting, I'm talking, it's painting, but it's also drawing, which, you know, my work, it's more like combination of a lot of things, like drawing, and I even see it as writing more than painting in a way. And also I've done some installations, which also called painting went into the space. It's still painting. That I guess pretty much it about myself, and I'm just excited to work with Justyna, and the ideas of a very much like hers. Maybe we are different. Maybe she's more active. She's more like activist, but I think of global crises, and because it affects us so directly, you know, cannot avoid that. The heat, the cold, the hurricanes, the weather. It's all, you cannot just be indifferent to that. Okay.
I can see why they selected us together, because it works so, I could see from the videos a symbiotic relationship between you two. Whatever the one lacks, the other one brings, and there's a kind of intermediality. This is my focus and the focus of my book. I have invested a lot in the way the different media meet, with a focus on performativity and liveness, but also I studied high modernism, so I'm really into the autonomy of the medium, like painting. And I currently work with Raymond Pettibon, who is an artist that focuses on drawing, to develop and present his work on scripts. He has written a lot of scripts that is not so known, so he is also considering himself as an author. I was many years in London, 17 years. I also moved in 96 from Greece. I'm originally Greek, and I studied philosophy and theater, so I come from this classical tradition. But then I studied continental philosophy, and obviously issues of climate, environmental awareness are really part of my work. I'm an activist as well in Hydra. It's an island with no cars, and one of the few remaining islands that try to use alternative energies. And I had done a festival there based on the Deleuzian ideas, the 11th Plateau, which was interventions, landscape architecture and interventions in the island, which was one of the first projects there, because it's protected by the Ministry of Culture. And
I think I heard about this project before. Like, what is the name of the island?
Hydra.
Yeah, I heard about that before.
It's an island. Also, Dakis Ioannou, the collector, then moved and created. Matthew Barney did one of the first projects there. Ioannou is on the board of the new museum, and he has been developing many projects there, but of different white kind of white box projects. But I try to use the landscape of Hydra like an experimentation for landscape architects, environmentalists, artists, and there was performances based on ecological destruction that was happening in the island with the rubbish, and it was like a case study. Of course, there are so many other places that you can develop such a thing. I'm saying that because I was very inspired by the process that I've seen from your last video as well. And I can see, since you are also an eco-activist, how can theory merge at the moment? It's such a strong project, and I think bringing in a narrative and relating also to, because it can be like migrations. You can have a transplant from what you're examining to New York. It can like a super studio kind of a project that you have a planet now that can move wherever you want it to move.
Yeah.
The project is on your imagination, I mean, your experience of New York as well, but in a very broad way. And you are, these ideas, I don't know if you heard of Gaia theories and the critical zone now with Latour, the exhibitions it's such an emerging field. And I can really give some feedback if required.
This is Latour publication, or?
It's Latour is now doing an exhibition called Down to Earth. It's an inspired exhibition by Latour. It's called Down to Earth. One other is Critical Zones. That's at ZMK. And it's constantly changes. There's also the Ocean Forum from, I can send you the various links, but the literature and what you're doing is so relevant. There's also the Climate Crisis Hotline, which is about solastasia, which is kind of nostalgia caused of grief out of climate change.
Yeah.
And I could see from your initial dialogues this a kind of grief that we all have with the pandemic, but that is shifting to another thing, that major thing that's coming, which is the climate change. And obviously that artists are the most sensitive receivers of any reality. So, but I have some questions about, I couldn't see how that emerged from the videos. What led you there?
I mean, it doesn't take us much time, you know, to find the idea to work on, because yeah, we have like very similar backgrounds, and even though we're like using totally different mediums, we have the same like feeling, or we absorb and then we experience the world in the same way. So yeah, it was like we had some conversation, you know.
It was very fast. Yeah, I try to recall. We had conversation. I think we showed what we've been doing during pandemic.
Yeah.
And I remember I shared from my side what I've been doing. That was painting, and I was references. I gave references, and I mentioned Arctic, Antarctic, melting, glacier melting ideas, because I was in my mind to develop more of this, to go further with this, because I already did a show, small show, like a start, I guess, like a sketch show, I would say, here upstate New York, like a couple of years ago, and I called it Arctica, Antarctica, like one word, connecting 2 poles, and to me it was like a little bit like a song, like a hybrid word. And Justyna showed what she's been doing. She's been immersed into four-dimensional spaces. The programs she's been
And
working
it's something,
with.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
totally new. It's also experience. I, you know, during the pandemic, because I was like totally cut out from like everyday life. You know, I just sit in my apartment with my husband, and I didn't know how to communicate. It was super difficult for me because I used to like be in the interaction with people. So I started to be like really involved in the virtual reality and started to build these virtual spaces where you know, I did like in maybe 3 weeks, I just like managed to teach myself like Unity gaming program, which is not, it's so easy, you know, but I just did it, and I create my first virtual space, which is online, and it's form of the like virtual gallery kind of game, you know. And then another thing, I think that's why we start to think about this Arctica, Antarctica more, is the fact that I got really close with my friend who is now in a mission, and he's like a scientist. He's in this Polish polar station, Antarctica. And it was for me also very interesting to, you know, have some conversation with him online. It's like, yeah, I'm here, there's a coronavirus. It seems to be like the same being on a polar station, you know, to be totally isolated. And then I contacted him because I was really into it, how they are like observing this glacier melting, because one of the like most important tasks they have there to observe the glaciers, how they melt, you know, to observe them melt. He's like going every day to make the pictures to a couple of them. They're like different name, like Ecology Glacier, Krakus Glacier, and Kopuła Warszawy Glacier, I think. This like name come from Polish language. So yeah, so we're like, okay, oh my, so this is what
I remember.
in our minds. And yeah, and Ieva was working also on some of the paintings, part of this project, or like post project of this Arctic Antarctica, yeah. And then I had a contact with my friends, and I built those virtual spaces, so it was like, you know, easy for us.
Yeah, it clicked. Yeah, you brought up immediately the friend in our Antarctica, and I got excited so much because it's such a direct, someone is directly experiencing that place where none of us can do that. None of us basically don't go there. And we're all observing it from far away. It's melting, it's accumulating something very evil, maybe, you know, and we like looking on
which is also sculptural, and it's a pity to note that, but it's a form that's very sculptural.
Yeah.
And in a way, the way that your drawings become three-dimensional through this kind of gaming is very interesting. And for me, I could see from their dialogues, there's still a question of whether the spectator is part of it, whether it's an environment, whether it's an visual environment or an installation. These are things that still aren't resolved, that you could even be the performers in this landscape. That
there's so many options, honestly. Yeah.
But I guess that this is the birth of it, and I don't know whether you would use, since you have done this project before, whether there is a step forward, a leap forward, to move it and actually land in New York with the same ideas, how you can transplant these ideas from using the language game and everything that you have thought already, but adapting it to the landscape of this project. I don't know if this is a quest for you, or if it makes
like because I don't know if I understand well. You asking how we can like presented, how it can end up, like what's gonna be the medium, how it's gonna interact with the audience in New York, or
first of all that, or whether it can develop, it can grow in such a way that, first of all, because as I understood, Ieva has already presented a project with that title. I think she did in upstate New York. Whether this kind of interaction between you that's now transforming both of you in a way, because both of your roles are developed and reinvented. You're reinventing yourself as an artist since you're working like a duet. And whether based on the principles of this project, which is about New York, of how European ideas interact with New York. And I'm saying that because I was also running a European program that invited artists in Europe. And I could see that it's always very interesting to be global and local at the same time without being there even, because of course you have moved, you might come back, New York is good. And how, that's why I was talking about Super Studio, for example, the architecture group that used art as well, whether it can have an imaginary dimension that it already has, but you could even have the mapping of New York or the idea of the grid, which is so important in New York, in your actual installation. There can be elements of that, since we're talking about a global reality of this island, because you had this little figure, which is like a cyborg. This can also navigate, because it's a story of navigation, I guess. Manhattan can exist in this landscape. At least for me, I was looking at it
There was some idea, I remember. I don't know if that was recorded, but yeah, we were thinking about using some of like topography of Manhattan, or at least the shape of the island, or yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, this world is so open, like we can work on it, you know, or develop it, change it all the time. This is like, you know, I don't necessarily think that it need to be end up in any point, you know, it can be like changing, or even like as the, you know, our environment is changing, the glacier melting, all this virtual space is also like very fluid. That's why we want to put this additional effect of the floating, the surface too, you know.
I actually would like this to be to evolve into maybe larger project. I know we don't have much time, and it's our first attempt to work like that. So we try to be minimal and small for now, just see how, at least to have something on presentation, something finished, like the first step. That four-dimensional, the gaming space, and how to resolve that. I know it's a lot to think about if going into something bigger. Now it's just miniature. And I know we talked about how New York, what is the relationship with New York here. And to my mind occurred that maybe just look into the ahead a little bit, that New York's coastline is gonna be changed, and this is indirectly affecting New York, but it's affecting New York. And you know, we can be very global. Okay, it's not just New York gonna be affected, but we at this point we need to focus on New York, because then it becomes too abstract in a way. So and
it's also, by focusing on you, you might focus on New York in the sense that as an artist who is based here, I mean, and I don't know if you want to add a narrative in this navigation to bring in an element like the the capsule. The capsule can incorporate anything. This capsule becomes the character, let's say, and it can be you, it can be both of you, it can be the spectator. I don't know if this capsule can bring in time, because a capsule contains time and different historical times. It can be prehistoric, it can be about change, universal change. I mean, I think at this stage, to make it clear, you need an element that will clarify everything and will give it not an open structure, but I think we need that to avoid questions that I think we were debating about whether anyone can do that with a program. Of course they cannot, because it's your pieces, and this is not the question, but I think now you need, and I know how difficult it is in collaborations to do that, and I guess that's why they bring in exterior receivers of the work. This is the element that I would work now. And that's why maybe theory like Hannah Way, since you're women and into ecofeminism, people like Hannah Way can help. Ideas of the holobiont, the Ocean Archive, which is what we were talking about, if you want to see the sea and how art and sea can be involved. Breathing, I'm an expert in breathing. Breathing and art, because I could see that you were talking about breathing, or whether you want to bring an element of liveness. I can send you Performa. I'm collaborating with Performa Biennial, and there are many recent projects on our architecture and art and ecology. So I think now it's about deciding the duration, these factors that will make the piece more poignant.
Yeah. I remember, Justyna, we both wanted initially this to be an experiencer's minds, like it's like you experiencer, not observer too much. So it's like a mindscape. I know during the process, it probably did not stick too much with the initial, what we talked about, like a very first time, and I tried to write something, and we like that it's becoming a game.
The mutation, the constant.
Yeah. And then the question is, to me personally, I don't know, Justyna, you probably have yours, but the mood of it also kind of shifts. The initial mood, it was a kind of, I felt like, well, like sad, about this. And now we're shifting to a little bit like fun thing,
I mean, it's also because of the sky colors we like pull out from the, it's, but I don't mind that. I like that still it's feel nauseous because of this like a breathing and like a little bit like hypnotizing the floor you're walking on. What I want to about it, there is a couple. I understand what do you mean, but maybe a little bit precise, or like give to the viewer more defined ideas about what this project about. We had this, like, I think there is a couple options to do it. One of the things we were thinking is just write some text We didn't discuss it about what kind of form it's gonna be. If it's gonna be poem or something more theoretical. But we can write something and put it as a composition, maybe as on the capsule. We can also, you know, read it. It can be like you get closer to the capsule, and then this text is coming, you know, as you're coming to the capsule. So
the sound, have you maybe, I mean, maybe the solution comes from the parameters, in the sense that the way it will be exhibited, whether you will have a diorama, or whether you imagine projections all over the place.
well, you know, I mean, the best would be like, you know, being in the space, like a virtual reality, or maybe like, we were thinking even for this final presentation, it also depends from like if we decide or not, but we can put it online, like even for the presentation, people can like experience it and walk around. Yeah, but obviously it can be video, can be.
So they can even step on it. They can even step on it.
Yeah, the idea is like it's gonna be kind of like video game, or like you can walk but on your keyboard using the arrows, you know, and jump with the shifter, and then, you know, it's like really the best if everyone can experience it, and it's no difference from where you're coming from, you know.
So I think that
there is no climax, there is no formal structure. You want it open-ended. It's not that
we still don't know. We are thinking about making it open, but there's a point you can fall down, for example.
Yeah, we still we want this to be finished, of course, definitely, and we need to keep in consideration all these things. How are we projecting it? Are we using it as virtual reality? We put glasses on, you know. I kind of like that, like for now. But you know, like if this could grow, we could add more elements. We could add another video, you know, to project. Let's say if it's a show, this could be just part of other body of created elements. You know, could be video, could be even drawings. You know, so I have some ideas, but it's like I just don't want to go too crazy with the ideas. Crazy meaning like I just want to keep, at least do this first. And,
so you are keeping the drawings. The drawings are
yeah, and yeah, I wanna work, start a new one related to this project.
I didn't know that. Well, that's great.
It's just, you know, it's too much to talk about all of these things, but I mean, it just came to me to say it, you know, to share with you.
Nice.
Right now. So I mean, I could, of course, it's up to Justyna and me. Like, if we want to continue to do this, or we just finish with this Undercurrent and that's it.
In an ideal world, where would you like to exhibit this? If someone told you we can bring it anywhere, how would you imagine it? In a museum space? In which museum?
Oh, it's very hard to tell which museum, but to me it's probably a space, neutral space, not outside. I mean, I'm not really thinking of those terms. It's indoors. What do you think, Justyna? I also was thinking, you know, Justyna, the performance element also, you know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, I see huge potential in this project. We could do it in so many different ways. But yeah, I like the stereo situation. I like to work with the art galleries and, you know, exhibit it in the places where people are coming to, you know, to experience art. But I also like to push this like very like important topics referring to the climate changes. And also, I think that the huge potential is in this, in the fact that it can be, you know, partially or on the same like in the same time in the virtual space. So for example, it can be exhibited in a real space, but can be also as a website, you know, you can just enter and walk around and get all information. It can be, you know, linked to the real exhibition or something. So, I mean,
there isn't an institution that you think, or a biennial, or I'm asking that because sometimes when we know our audience, we are focusing and we want to complete something in a way that it will really fit.
I mean, you know, I was working with so many different audience, you know. I was working like for really huge galleries in museum, and then from other hand, I was, you know, running small gallery culture house in Indonesia village, you know. So I'm like, it doesn't matter if you're doing something like it's about you thought of something important. I think it's no matter who, it's like you just need to talk about it and give the people, you know, even random people, not really educated or like, yeah. So that's my opinion. But
I'm sorry to interrupt. How do you think that it can merge with art, with activism, with ecological activism? How, I mean, what is the agency? How can this project push forward participation? And that's why you're thinking of public space, or?
yeah, I mean, you know, with the art is also this problem, like you cannot be direct, you know. If I wanted to be like activist, I'm gonna work from some organization, you know. The art is still like some field in between, you know. You are not very like like direct with the topic, but from other hand, you're working on this like subconscious level, which works sometimes much better than the direct statement. So I mean, you know, if we're gonna have the chance, you know, to present it, if we have, you know, if it's gonna be enough prepared, enough like prepare also from like curatorial side, I think it's like it's gonna do its work. I remember I did many exhibition and I had this moment like people come to me like, oh, you know, I don't use plastic bottles since your exhibition or something, even though it wasn't direct. I was doing some like weird performances, you know, so. Yeah.
If now there is an open call of a biennial on environmental awareness in Canada, let's say, how would you present this project? And you had to take immediate decisions of how it should be, because there was high chance of it getting, and the message will be, of course.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, we should present the works like we're coming from, like Ieva, yeah. And then the virtual space, in my opinion, I would present the original works, and then I would present the virtual space as a virtual, like on a headset, or as a display of the computer where audience can walk, you know, everyone who come to computer can, you know, walk in the space, or both even is possible.
So you would exhibit the drawings?
Yeah.
One in a separate room?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, what's your?
I don't know. It's very
first.
fast. No,
the first room, and then someone would get into the virtual world.
Maybe opposite.
I think I still prefer physical spaces over online, because I'm completely unhappy that all culture goes online right now, but we have no choice, you know, in some places. Like in Lithuania, they're still running galleries and it's better situation, the pandemic. But let's say as a painter or drawings, I think that flat screen is really limited, and you lose sense of like seeing tiny textures or texture of the work, you know. It's like, it's still very important, at least for me. And if I was working with computer programs, you know, it's of course you can present it on the screen. It's fine. It's just the product. It's meant to be that. And let's say if there is if we're talking just about this, what we're creating right now, it could be sets, you know, like the glasses or headsets, like you could enter, you experience as a virtual reality. But if we want to add more elements to it, then I think we would need to develop more something. This could still stay, you come in a gallery and put the glasses on. It could be like a room just for this, and another room to be actual work. Let's say I have drawings, and even I film the drawings, the process of it. And I want that film to be somewhere incorporated. I don't know how.
I'm asking these questions because sometimes we, having all this richness of decisions, where, you know, we let go in the end. And I can see here a great project, and also the fact that you are Lithuanian and Polish, and this both countries have an amazing art scene right now, with great biennials and museums, and really real interest. And the fact that you're also connected to New York, and the Lithuanian Institute, also Performa recently had, we have the Museum Without Walls, and there was a focus both on Lithuania and in the past on Poland, and it was also Cantor. And so I'm trying to say that it's a great mix of cultures, nationalities, the European and the New York element, that I would, in this year, and especially with all these changes, it would be amazing to make these choices and actually submit to important, because now there are all these great open calls on these concepts. And it's a great opportunity to, because that's half of the project, basically. Half of the project is the actual project, and the other half is taking these decisions about how it can be transmitted. And it's, this opportunity shouldn't be lost in that way. Because
the only case, I think it's always the same problem is the money, or support, or if someone gonna be interested in, like, you know, developing this project. Because now in the support of our institution, like, we can work together and we have time for it. But, you know, we don't know what's gonna happen, you know, if we found, like, or someone gonna be interesting, you know, in.
But you have done the work. I mean, this is what the program gives you, this, the initial, it's 75% of what the project is. And then I guess, have you, budget-wise, have you thought of the various elements and the cost?
Well, we haven't, because I mean, for now, Justyna and I, we could probably rely a little bit on our country's, you know, cultural ministry, but budgets are small. Like for instance, I could try to apply for individual grant, which is not that much a month, and which is basically would help me a little bit with materials, maybe, you know, but to organize something greater than that, you need much more money, much more support. And plus, if we already knew the institution where would show this project, so probably would be a little bit easier, because institution invites, let's say, so you could start asking for funds. But if we don't have any invitation yet, and try to find where, so it becomes another headache, which I really hate personally. Like, I would rather sit in my studio and do the drawing instead of, you know.
And but sometimes these restrictions actually help the decision making. Since the project, it's meaningful and it's there, and you have done a lot of work. And the most important thing, at least for my opinion, is the quality of your collaboration and the way that each one accepts the other. And so it's not about whether it will be a great technically efficient installation. I mean, people won't appreciate just that in this project. It's something more than that. And of course you can have it at the Met, I don't know if you've seen the Icelandic project last year. I never can pronounce the name, Ragnarstår, where it was a panoramic installation. It's the group, this Icelandic group that also has done operas, 24-hour operas, and they used ecological, now they work on nature. And so of course you can have an amazing installation of your work, but I think this is not just the point. And it is important to find funding, of course, but given that you were selected for this program, it's a great opportunity to develop it further.
Yeah, I believe that probably money is not necessarily most important. It's somehow sometimes it comes when important is to deliver the message, and we care about it. And I personally, I really want to continue this. And even it occurred to me, I think I mentioned to Justyna a little bit that would like to continue for a long time, maybe with other people too, you know? Just on the Antarctic and Arctic subject, that melting.
That'd be great.
Would you invite scientists, like
that was the idea.
Your friend is
that was the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I contacted him. I contacted him because at the beginning we really wanted to have the sound. We asked him to record the sound from there, because also this the Antarctic is famous from its wind. You know, it's very soundsy, make kind of the songs by itself. And unfortunately, they had some problems because the water in the lake just froze. And from that, like, I didn't, you know, he didn't contact me back. I was like reaching to him like last week maybe, so maybe I will try and we're gonna have some recording. But yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, to have the people from different fields too. So it's not only like some fantasy of intellectual artists, but it's like, you know, proved by the science. And then we have this contact with Polish Arctic station, and then, you know, history has to be involved. So
it's a great bet usually how to make interesting this interdisciplinary dialogue, because it can be also very sterile. But this capsule, which was also like a cell, like a biological organism. I mean, your project has a lot of mapping, but also biological elements. And maybe a biologist would also profit from this exchange.
Right. It's the idea is of how everything is alive and how we are all interconnected. So interbe with each other, and nature and us, and you know, everybody is talking about Anthropocene right now. How what we are doing here as humans.
At the same time, it's very ancient. I was looking now at the Bauhaus dance video, which was it's called the Dance of the Cells, and it's different. And I was thinking of it's this biomorphic.
Oh, really? I love Bauhaus. I want to know more about
what called the Dance of the Cells. It's Albert Eckert. And it's so interesting to see that these questions are quite old. It's modernist questions, like, you know, they have been posed all along. And I would, yeah, I would bring some history in the project, some art historical references. In the way you can add, it is like a game that you add as many elements as you want in this narrative.
It's also, it's very very performative in a way, because I used to, yeah, I was working a couple times with this collective called Pussy Mantra. They're really good friends of mine. They're like girl hackers, you know, and feminists. And we did this project once where we built a virtual reality, and the audience could like through the headset became the avatar, and then there was a special way of like, you know, getting comfortable with this avatar. And like, for example, my work during this performance was to like, you know, help people to get into this, and it built kind of the choreography too. I think this is also really interesting field, which is still not very explored, about how we became like the body in the virtual space, we lose our body, and then it can be also very like choreographic, or it has like, you know, so many different meanings. Yeah, you could still explore.
So your next task might be to write a text together, because you have been only creating in a, and maybe it's now about time to do a more analytic text-based work, where ideas are formulated and classed, or I don't know if that would help to.
I really like when that capsule. Actually, I was looking at the screenshot Justyna sent me of the. There was this, I call it sketches. There was capsule and different variation. We didn't stay with it, but. And I'm looking at this capsule and I'm really liking it and liking it. I don't know why I'm attracted to these capsules. And Sozita kind of said it. Yeah, it's, of course, it's time capsules, it's time messages in the capsules. I do appreciate this idea of maybe text and like, that's it. Probably capsule meant to carry a text, a message.
Yeah, sure. We can do that. Yeah, obviously. So now we need to focus on the text.
I don't know if you heard that there was a student, a college student, that used AI to produce text, like a hacker. I thought, now that you said the hacker, it was in the news today that he used a way to complete a text that someone else was writing, and it was as if it was real, and it was a machine producing text. But in a way, your work is a co-editing, that we don't know who is who. I mean,
that's
now
true.
I know that the drawings are Levas, but they're not supposed to be, I'm not supposed to know. And that's the great thing, that of how you co-create, and in a way, the creator is lost. It's like the death of the author, the death of the creator, in a good sense. But it's one artwork, and the creators are in peace with each other, that they don't care who is who.
Yeah.
And that's, I think it's a miracle to do that.
Yeah. That's really nice what you said.
I felt that there was, you know, I was not sure during the lottery with whom I would be collaborating. And I mean, I've collaborated with artists, but in a different kind of way. Still, you know, be like authorships. And but with Justyna, we clicked very quickly. I don't know. It was meaningful coincidence. I think we should.
Success of the program.
We should work on this. I mean, it's like a gift. We should not drop it after this 10001 is over, you know.
Yeah, great.
And who knows, you might bring 0001 in the project, like numbers or.
Yeah, these algorithms, like quantum zeros and ones.
It was lovely connecting with you, and I hope we will be in touch at the second stage and the various stage. And whatever you need, I might also think of ideas of how to present it.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful, yes, wonderful.
And I mean,
yes.
and there is any chance like to share with us all these things you mentioned about the tour, the house? And
yes,
links,
yeah, the links and the text, and
it'd be great.
For the
We can also share with you with some things because we got some inspiration. Like if you want to like just check.
I would love
knowledge. Yeah.
creating projects. So this is one of the. I'm really interested in that. And now Raymond participates, Petitbon, at Back to Earth. It's a project by Serpentine Galleries, and it's the 50 years of Serpentine, but also the 5,000 years of the Earth. It's called Back to Earth, and many activists, many even celebrities, because it's about fundraising as well for climate change. And I will be sending information, and we are co-authoring also a book we were saying about at Forerunners, which is Minnesota University Press has this series called Forerunners, and you can check there. They have new new knowledge about these issues, art, and how it interacts with social issues.
No.
So
please send it the link.
I will send you.
Yeah, we'll be very, very grateful. I mean, it's really nice to talk to you because this is the first time for us that someone from out of our project, you know, makes some comments and we can really like share with.
Breaking the capsule.
Breaking a capsule, and the capsule should break, and the text is coming out of it.
Yeah, that would be much easier than out of right, for sure.
Yeah, it's it's now real work starts, I think. Like see more serious. We're gonna take it more seriously.
Yeah.
Because Sozita is you know, two of us were playing, and now it's we have to work.
I'm very confident about you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.